Welcome to Love of Existence and Knowledge, from the City of God, by Saint Augustine of Hippo, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Saint Augustine of Hippo was an esteemed late 4th and early 5th century Christian bishop in present-day Algeria. He became Bishop of Hippo, an ancient seaport city, in his early 40s and remained in the position for the rest of his life. Known as one of the greatest Christian philosophers, Saint Augustine was a prolific writer, with about 100 books, 300 letters, and 500 sermons still preserved. His work covers subjects including theology, philosophy, and sociology, and has had a lasting influence on the Christian world. Among his most significant writings are The City of God, the Doctrina Christiana, and Confessions. The respected bishop was also a compassionate vegetarian, and drew attention to the lifestyle of those who not only abstain from flesh and wine, but also from other viands, which flatter taste. He also quoted St. Paul, "It is better not to eat meat or drink wine, or to do anything else that will cause your brother or sister to fall." We will now continue with an excerpt from St. Augustine's book, The City of God. In the previous episode, we touched upon how the essence of God is the eternal source of complete knowledge for all of His creation. Further, in Book 12 of these writings, we will explore the angelic nature whose goodness relies on adherence to God. Book 11, Chapter 29 of the knowledge by which the holy angels know God in His essence, and by which they see the causes of His works in the art of the worker, before they see them in the works of the artist. So is it with all other things, as the firmament between the water above and below, which was called the heaven, the gathering of the waters beneath, and the laying bare of the dry land, and the production of plants and trees, the creation of sun, moon, and stars, and of the animals out of the waters, fowls, and fish, and monsters of the deep, and of everything that walks or creeps on the earth, and of man himself, who excels all that is on the earth. All these things are known in one way by the angels in the Word of God, in which they see the eternally abiding causes and reasons according to which they were made, and in another way in themselves, in the former, with a clearer knowledge, in the latter, with a knowledge dimmer, and rather of the bare works than of the design. Yet when these works are referred to the praise and adoration of the Creator Himself, it is as if morning dawned in the minds of those who contemplate them. Book 12, Conspect. Saint Augustine first institutes two inquiries regarding the angels, namely, whence is there in some a good and in others an evil will? And what is the reason of the blessedness of the good and the misery of the evil? Afterwards, he treats of the creation of man and teaches that he is not from eternity, but was created and by none other than God. Book 12, Chapter 1, that the nature of the angels, both good and bad, is one and the same. Before I speak of the creation of man and show how the cities took their rise so far as regards the race of rational mortals, I see that I must first, so far as I can, adduce what may demonstrate that it is not incongruous and unsuitable to speak of a society composed of angels and men together, so that there are not 4 cities or societies, namely of angels, and as many of men, but rather 2 in all, one composed of the good, the other of the wicked, angels or men indifferently. that the contrary propensities of good and bad angels have arisen, not from a difference in their nature and origin, since God, the good author and creator of all essences, created them both, but from a difference in their wills and desires. It is impossible to doubt, while some steadfastly continue in that which was the common good of all, namely in God Himself and in His eternity, truth, and love. Others being enamored rather of their own power, as if they could be their own good, lapse to the private good of their own, from that higher and beatific good which was common to all, and bartering the lofty dignity of eternity for the inflation of pride, the most assured verity for the slyness of vanity, uniting love for factions partisanship. They became proud, deceived, envious. The cause, therefore, of the blessedness of the good is adherence to God, and so the cause of the other's misery will be found in the contrary, that is, in their not adhering to God. Wherefore, if when the question is asked, why are the former blessed, it is rightly answered, because they adhere to God, and when it is asked, why are the latter miserable, it is rightly answered, because they do not adhere to God, then there is no other good for the rational or intellectual creature save God only. Thus, though it is not every creature that can be blessed, yet that creature which has the capacity cannot be blessed of itself, since it is created out of nothing, but only by Him by whom it has been created. For it is blessed by the possession of that whose loss makes it miserable. He then who is blessed not in another but in himself cannot be miserable, because he cannot lose himself. Accordingly, we say that there is no unchangeable good but the one true blessed God, that the things which He made are indeed good because from Him, yet mutable because made not out of Him, but out of nothing. Although, therefore, they are not the supreme good, for God is a greater good, yet those mutable things which can be adhered to the immutable good, and so be blessed, are very good. For so completely is He their good, that without Him they cannot but be wretched, and the other created things in the universe are not better on this account, that they cannot be miserable. For no one will say that the other members of the body are superior to the eyes, because they cannot be blind. But at the sentient nature, even when it feels pain, is superior to the stony, which can feel numb. So, the rational nature, even when wretched, is more excellent than that which lacks reason or feeling, and can therefore experience no misery. And since this is so, then in this nature, which has been created so excellent, that though it be mutable itself, it can yet secure its blessedness by adhering to the immutable good, the supreme God. And since it is not satisfied unless it be perfectly blessed, and cannot be thus blessed save in God, in this nature, I said, not to adhere to God is manifestly a fault. Now, every fault injures the nature, and is consequently contrary to the nature. The creature, therefore, which cleaves to God, differs from those who do not by nature, but by fault, and yet by this very fault, the nature itself is proved to be very noble and admirable. For that nature is certainly praised, the fault of which is justly blamed. For we justly blame the fault, because it mars the praiseworthy nature. As then, when we say that blindness is a defect of the eyes, we prove that sight belongs to the nature of the eyes. And when we say that deafness is a defect of the ears, hearing is thereby proved to belong to their nature. So, when we say that it is a fault of the angelic creature that is not cleave to God, we hereby most plainly declare that it pertains to this nature to cleave to God. And who can worthily conceive or express how great a glory that is, to cleave to God, so as to live to Him, to draw wisdom from Him, to delight in Him, and to enjoy this so great good, without death, error, or grief.